Good evening. Hope everybody is doing well. Huh. So, as I usually do, I started to go through the headlines to think of what I was going to do the show on, or at least start it off with. And when I put this headline out, I didn't even pay attention when I put it out, or else it would have grabbed me. I don't know. I was actually busy working on the website a little bit, so I do have a little bit of an excuse. So didn't get much done. At the same time, a small step for man, a large step for Joomla 4. So I have to learn. It's like I'm starting over, because the Joomla script that I use to build websites with, they advanced another generation, and it's quite different from how you had to do things before. So I'm figuring it out slowly, very slowly, but surely. And there's not a lot of information out there on it yet, at least not real straightforward, because I'm not a coder, yo. So I can dabble in the code a little bit. I can change things up a little bit. But to sit there with a blank notepad and just do this CSS and all this stuff that they do now, no. Not even remotely. After HTML, I stopped even remotely trying to keep up. So, alright. Quite a bit of information in the news that's going in a military direction, to be honest. Not just what I headlined the show after, but there's a lot of things. Russia had to chase off a UK spy bird, and I found it interesting. I watched Monkeyworks earlier, and he mentioned the KC-135 that was there, and I think it was the particular one that this article talks about. But he, as far as I know, unless he said something later on, he didn't mention anything about Russia running it off. So maybe he hadn't even ran across that yet. So, but yeah, supposedly anyway, Russia had run it off. So we got that. We've got China doing snap military drills as a response to our delegation that went over there. So there's definitely a ramping up. And, that I was paying attention to as the headlines came in. I was going to show you real quick before we get into news. Because, hey, it's a little advancement, man. There we go. That's, that's what I got accomplished. Well, what? Well, I put a picture here, and I did this gradient color up top. Yeah, that even something simple like that, I had to completely learn how to redo that banner. So, yeah, one of those things. And I'm trying to figure out how to put just a static background image, in which the actual content would be what you would say in a container that moved up and down the page, but the background itself would be static. So I'm working on it, trying. Anywho, like I say, a lot of craziness going on, and it's not just the military stuff either. It's also with the economy. I think some big players are coming out and just laying it on the line. I don't know how many people have paid attention. The administration, I don't know where the hell their heads are at. I don't think anybody does, to be honest. But it's not looking real good economically as well, which you knew that. I'm not breaking any news there. But anywho, let me go ahead and I'll switch back over to WebView. I've got, let's see, 6 tabs open, I guess. So, let me have a sip of coffee, though, before we do. Oh, goodness. Sorry. It's just good stuff. Coffee. I mean, come on. And nicotine, because without those two things, I wouldn't exist. Seriously. If I gave up nicotine and caffeine entirely, my body would just go into shock and I'd keel over. I'm sure of it. Let's see. You guys might want to see. As headlined, over 5 billion people would, or well, over 5 billion would die of starvation in nuclear war, says a study. I'm adding words and stuff. In the aftermath of a nuclear war between the U.S. and Russia, over 5 billion people could starve to death as the ash and soot from burning cities entered the atmosphere and blocked out sunlight, according to a study published on Monday in the journal Nature Food. While much of the current speculation about nuclear war focuses on the horrors of the bombing itself, this study, conducted by researchers at Rutgers University in the U.S., suggests that the real suffering would come in the years after the conflict, which is true, when the breakdown of supply chains and devastation of local infrastructure would be compounded by the effect of a nuclear winter on food crops. The cooling effect that would be created when the ash from a nuclear exchange entered the atmosphere would peak within a year or two, but the reduction in temperature would last for over a decade and would also involve reduced precipitation, according to the models used by the researchers. Fluctuations in major food sources, including maize, rice, spring wheat, and soybeans, as well as livestock pasture and fisheries, were all factored into the model. While the distribution of food among countries not immediately involved in the nuclear war would depend in part on existing political alliances, trade routes, and other human factors that cannot be incorporated into the climate model used in the study, the model's weather patterns show wind driving clouds of smoke and ash into the sky above major food producers, such as the US, China, Germany, and the UK, ultimately resulting in a decline of 90% in the world's food supply. Given that the U.S. and Russia, both major food exporters, would already have seen their food production capacity disrupted, if not completely destroyed, by the nuclear war itself, the outcome would be doubly devastating for countries that rely on food imports to survive. The data tells us one thing: we must prevent a nuclear war from ever happening, climate science professor and study co-author Alan Robach said. While completely wiping out the human race would require superpower-sized arsenals, even a nuclear exchange between less heavily armed countries such as India and Pakistan would render key agricultural regions unusable for years, triggering a major refugee crisis, which, in addition to the nuclear winter effect, could consign as many as 2 billion people to starvation, the researchers found. Such an outcome would represent just a 7% global decline in crop yields, but is still far worse than any disturbance to world food supplies ever modeled by the United Nations. The cooling effect of ash entering the Earth's atmosphere has previously been recorded in the aftermath of major volcanic eruptions such as Indonesia's Mount Tambora in 1815 and Iceland's Laki in 1783, both of which resulted in famines and political upheavals. Hang on. A lot of words and stuff. Indeed, climate change advocates have actually proposed using just such a tactic in order to artificially cool the planet. An experiment by Harvard University scientists is currently underway to test whether injecting calcium carbonate into the atmosphere could reflect enough of the sun's rays away from the Earth to cool the planet. Man, I thought those were just crazy people talking that kind of stuff, man. This has alarmed experts who warn that filling the atmosphere with particulate matter, like they've been doing for a long time, may have unpredictable results, well, and some that they damn well knew about, and is just likely to catapult Earth into further climatological, did I say that? Climatological, I guess so, instability as it is to solve the purported warming problem. So, and if you can change pole shift, more power to you, man. But I kind of don't think you got a chance at that. So, anywho, yeah, I would agree nuclear war would be bad. I did find this interesting that they released this study, and I think honestly, it's important for people to pay attention. I don't know that it's gonna go this direction, but I don't know that it's not. Things are crazy if you hadn't noticed. And there are some smaller countries now that are nuclear armed, like North Korea. I'm convinced that Iran has nuclear weapons. I'm positive they do. I knew North Korea had weapons a decade before it came out officially. I mean, come on. All you got to do is pay attention. That's all you have to do is pay attention. Iran has been enriching uranium to weapons grade for quite a while now. And I believe that before they started doing that on a public known thing, that they'd done it. I mean, come on. Do I blame them? No. No. I mean, if I had my own country, you don't damn well think that I'm going to have my folks trying to figure out how they can best defend our sovereign asses? I guarantee you I would be. I don't blame any country for wanting to be able to secure themselves. At all. Does it make a lot of sense for a country like Iran to become nuclear armed? Well, maybe for other small little countries, but not so much for the larger countries. To me, that's kind of senseless. I think if, like for instance, if there was issues with Iran, if they had intercontinental ballistic missiles that they launched from Iran, I don't think that they would have enough missiles in their arsenal to even remotely have a chance to get one through. Not even remotely. I doubt that they would even, I don't know which direction they would come, to be real honest. I don't know if they would go east or west. However, or if they would go over the top. I have no idea. However, I will say that, nah, they wouldn't stand a chance. There wouldn't be enough of them, and I firmly believe that when it comes to Iran anyway, our missile defense system would be just fine. North Korea, they might be able to slip one or two in. And I say that because they've now got hypersonic missile capability. So they were successfully testing their hypersonic missiles before we had a successful test. So there's that. I'm sure that they had help from China. In fact, one of the articles I read back after one of those tests was saying that the missile had characteristics that was similar to the system that China had developed. So there is that. Oh, let's see. Another sip and we'll go on to the next story. Oh, I'll tell you, it would be nasty. Sorry, I just looked up there. Yeah, it would be absolutely nasty. We've got a hell of a ride coming, just with pole shift. Add nuclear winter to that, yeah, that would really suck. Oh, let's see. Something worse than a recession coming, says J.P. Morgan. This is what I was talking about. The boss of Wall Street banking giant J.P. Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon, has warned investors of the likelihood of a downturn in the U.S. economy, saying that something worse than a hard recession could be on the horizon. According to a Yahoo Finance report on Saturday, Diamond noted that the economy is strong while businesses and consumers' balance sheets are in good shape. The banker, however, pointed out that there are storm clouds on the horizon, including rising oil prices and higher interest rates. When you forecast, you have to think differently. What is out there? There are storm clouds, rates, quantitative tightening, oil, Ukraine war, China. Diamond said, if I had to put odds, soft landing 10%, harder landing, mild recession 20%, or I guess 20 to 30%, harder recession 20 to 30%, and maybe something worse at 20 to 30%. It is a bad mistake to say there is my single point forecast, he clarified. Last month, Diamond warned that geopolitical tension, soaring inflation, waning consumer confidence, and uncertainty about how much the Federal Reserve policy rate will be increased, combined with the conflict in Ukraine, would likely have a negative impact on the global economy sometime in the future. Earlier in June, the head of the biggest U.S. bank said to brace for an economic hurricane. So, I'm sure we're looking at it, and I'm sure that natural gas prices are going to continue to skyrocket, electricity prices. Man, I'll tell you what, I think Americans are in for one hell of a winter, just like those folks in the EU and the UK. And it's crazy because we're not like them. We don't rely on Russian natural gas and, any type of Russian energy to keep our power plants going. I just think it's insane. And we're going to be exporting a lot of our energy over to EU and Europe. And Lord knows where else. It's crazy. And then our folks are going to have to pay for that. They're the ones that, those higher prices, you're paying for them to help them export to other countries. It is mind-blowing how bad the American people are getting shafted. China flexes military muscle near Taiwan. China's People's Liberation Army has deployed its Navy and fighter jets to the Taiwan Strait as part of fresh drills near the island, which Beijing claims as its own. The latest show of force is meant as a stern deterrent to the United States after a group of 5 U.S. lawmakers visited the island. In a statement released on Monday, the Chinese military's Eastern Theater Command said it conducted multi-service joint combat readiness patrols and combat exercises at sea and in the air in the vicinity of Taiwan. The drills took place near Taiwan's Pinghu Islands, which host a major air base. Beijing shared footage of the island shot by military aircraft. Chinese military officials insisted that by allowing the lawmakers to visit the island, the U.S. effectively infringed on China's sovereignty and territorial integrity. They accused Washington of threatening peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait with its cheap political tricks. The Chinese military added that it continues to train and prepare for war and will resolutely crush any form of Taiwan independence, separatism, and foreign interference. Taiwan's defense ministry confirmed that 15 Chinese military aircraft had crossed the unofficial border in the Taiwan Strait. Meanwhile, China's Taiwan Affairs Office warned the Taiwanese leadership that they would be severely punished unless they restrained themselves. Now, I just want to say something. Remember there was a little bitty operation back in World War II? No, it was just a little bitty operation called Operation Paperclip. And that was essentially to where I guess they abducted them. I can't tell you, I don't know for sure. I'm not a history buff on the level that, can tell you all the details, the ins and outs. But these were like high-level scientists that they were bringing to the United States. And I just kind of have to wonder, with all this chip stuff going on, it just kind of makes me wonder if they're doing something at least similar to Operation Paperclip, in which they're maybe bringing here individuals and equipment to be able to set up shop over here. It wouldn't surprise me. It absolutely wouldn't surprise me. Let's see. There was no live stream of the lawmakers' meeting with Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen, I'm not sure, and other top officials, and footage was only released after the members of Congress had left the island on Monday afternoon. It was Pelosi's visit that precipitated a nosedive in what were already strained relations between Washington and Beijing, the House Speaker having gone through her... Well, I'm not going to read... Y'all know what happened to her. She made it back. I mean, we were all hoping, but China didn't help us out there. I'm kidding. Maybe a little. Let's see. Yeah, all this is just going back into the history of it, but definitely need to watch and keep in mind that I think it was the UK. Forgive me if I'm wrong, and it was the EU, but I'm not sure which one for positive, but one of them said that they were going to send delegates over. So I would keep my eyes open for that. All right. Russia chases off UK spy plane. This is what I was telling you about. It says a Royal Air Force spy plane violated Russian airspace in the Barents Sea near Murmansk. The Russian Defense Ministry said on Monday a MiG-31 interceptor was dispatched to escort the RC-135 surveillance jet from the vicinity of Cape Zivotoi Nos, and I'm sure I got that way wrong, near the major bases of the Russian Navy Northern Fleet. The MiG-31BM interceptor on duty with the Border Air Patrol identified the aircraft and compelled it to stop its violation of the Russian airspace, the military said in a statement. Moscow identified the location of the incident as Zivotoi Nos, a cape on the Kola Peninsula east of the Murmansk in western Russia. While the Russian Defense Ministry offered no further details about the incident as of Monday evening local time, flight radar showed a Royal Air Force RC-135 flying off of the coast of Murmansk earlier. The RAF spy plane, with the designation of RRR-7255, made several loops before heading for the entrance to the White Sea, violating Russian airspace in the process. The plane is seen currently flying back to the RAF base in Waddington, Lincolnshire, the hub of the RAF intelligence surveillance, target acquisition, and reconnaissance command. Monday's incident was the first incursion of NATO aircraft into Russian territory since the conflict in Ukraine escalated in February. Earlier that month, Moscow said that a U.S. submarine was spotted and chased off from Russian waters near the Kuril Islands in the northern Pacific. The Pentagon denied all allegations. This is the second British trespass into Russian territory since June of 2021, when Royal Navy destroyer HMS Defender sailed off the coast of Crimea. The most recent known incident in the Barents Sea was July of 2021, when three nuclear-capable U.S. B-52 bombers approached Russian airspace, but were escorted away before they could trespass. According to Russian officials, the number of reconnaissance NATO flights near the state border grew by more than 30% in 2021. There you go. I went in for a little bit in the flights. I mean, man, I'll tell you what, I cannot get enough of that F-22. That thing is so much fun. And I used to always have to, just because I wanted to get in the air, I would just spawn in on a runway and take off. I actually enjoy firing that one up. It's real easy to do, and it's actually kind of fun just firing it up. Oh, man. Two more taps. We're actually flying through it pretty quick. Hang on. Let's see. All right. U.S. school district pledges to fire white staff first. That sounds kind of odd. Says here white teachers will be the first to be fired if job cuts are required at public schools in Minneapolis, Minnesota, regardless of their seniority or effectiveness in the classroom, according to a new collective bargaining agreement that the local school district signed with its union. Starting next spring in Minneapolis public schools, non-white teachers will be protected when funding cuts, such as those related to declining enrollment, translate into firings. The agreement with the Minneapolis Federation of Teachers Union was signed last March, ending a 3-week strike, but the racial provision was exposed in a report on Sunday by the local outlet Alpha News. If accessing a teacher who is a member of the population underrepresented among licensed teachers in the site, the district shall access the next least senior teacher who is not a member of the underrepresented population. The new labor contract reads, accessing means reducing staff when enrollment declines at a particular school. Such firings are normally based on seniority, meaning the last teacher hired will be the first one to let go. The new labor agreement not only exempts non-white teachers from that threat, at least until the district runs out of white employees to fire, it also stipulates that previously laid off staffers from underrepresented populations will be first to get hired back when there are opportunities for reinstatement. The school district and the union justified the firing of teachers based on skin color by suggesting that it would compensate for past wrongs. Interesting. Past discrimination by the district disproportionately impacted the hiring of underrepresented teachers in the district as compared to the relevant labor market and the community, and resulted in a lack of diversity of teachers according to the contract. An MPS spokesperson told Fox News Digital on Monday that the district and its union mutually agreed to the new contract language to remedy the continuing effects of past discrimination. The union claimed that race-based preferences will help improve the quality of education in Minneapolis schools. I'm pretty sure that they put the wrong word there. I'm pretty sure that should have been indoctrination. Anyway, students need educators who look like them and who they can relate to, the MFT said in its summary of the contract. This language gives us the ability to identify and address issues that contribute to disproportionately high turnover of educators of color. Demographic figures suggest that the racial makeup of the school staffing is roughly in line with the population of Minneapolis. Whites account for 63% of the city's population and hold less than 67% of jobs in the school district, according to the U.S. Census Bureau and MPS figures. Blacks account for 19% of the population and 18% of school staffing. So, nuts. Nuts. Oh, man. Well, this is not good. Why would I say that? Well, when you turn out all those street lights, crime is going to go through the roof. It is probably going to get stupid. Anyway, it says here, Berlin turning off city lights to save energy. Berlin has stopped lighting up around 100 public buildings and historic landmarks since late July in order to save energy. the city's environmental administration said on Monday. The authorities say that in total, 150 buildings will soon no longer be lit up at night, following previous reports that lighting for as many as 200 would be switched off. The Environmental Administration added that the process of reducing power usage would be complete by late August. Since the buildings in question are not connected to a single system, to switch off the lights, engineers and maintenance professionals have to handle buildings one by one, the statement read. The authorities intend to keep some landmarks eliminated, including the Jewish Museum, the new synagogue, and the Soviet War Memorial in the Tiergarten. The decision was made after consultations with the Berlin Ministry of the Interior, they said. According to the city's environmental administration, the 150 buildings, which include the Victory Column, the Berlin Cathedral, the Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church, Charlottenburg Palace, the State Opera, consume around 150,000 to 200,000 kilowatt hours per year, which cost 40,000 euros or $40,850 per year. In early July, Berlin Mayor Franziska Giffey supported the idea of not illuminating landmarks such as the iconic Brandenburg Gate to save energy, while the authorities also mulled turning off some of the street lights in a way that would not compromise public safety. In the situation we are in, we have to examine all the options for saving energy, she said at the time. Germany, like many other EU countries, has been hit by an energy crunch due to rising global prices. To alleviate the crisis, in early August, the European Council approved a plan that would see EU countries reduce gas consumption by 15%. On Friday, German Economy Minister and Vice Chancellor Robert Habeck announced that public buildings in Germany will not be allowed to set the heating above 19 degrees Celsius in the fall and winter. Earlier, the minister called on the people to cut back on heating, trips to the sauna, and showers. One of the factors exacerbating the crisis has been the uncertainty of gas supplies from Russia. However, President Vladimir Putin has rejected accusations that Moscow could cut off gas supplies to the EU, stating that Russian energy giant Gazprom is ready to pump as much as necessary, but the bloc has closed everything themselves. So, that would be a problem. I'm buzzing through this pretty quick. Same with my coffee. Yikes. It was a full cup when I started. Getting pretty low. Alright. Not in a hurry. Just, like I say, flying through them. Let's see if there's anything else. I can't think of anything else that, transpired. Just working on getting stuff done around here. Let's see. Gonna do quite a bit of rearranging. I'll probably get that done tomorrow. And then go from there. Like I say, I'm making an area to put all the stuff related to the electronics, electrical and stuff like that, along with tools and, you know, all the stuff that's going to make sense to be together. I'm going to put it all together. So, and then that'll open up more shelves for me in the closet. Like I say, it's a win-win-win-win. Made some awesome deer chili earlier. That was some good stuff. My brother, when he visited yesterday, he brought some deer burger, hamburger, and some deer sticks. Good stuff. So anyway, I made deer chili. Let's see. All right. Wasn't a crazy ton of headlines today, but we have a few vapes. I'm not in a big hurry. I'm looking forward to bed, though. Today I had to command a 50,000-foot pole. Well, that's what it felt like. We're vacuuming everything, sealing the walls, the ceiling fan, all that stuff, just going over everything. And, holy cow. Because, this is a pretty tall ceiling, and so I have to use all of our pipe attachments for our vacuum cleaner to be able to reach the ceiling from the floor. And then everything's, trying to twist and turn on you. It's like some type of a circus trick to be able to do it. All right. Let's see. Russian troops to receive cutting-edge small arms. There's another interesting headline about what the Russian military is getting. U.S. Republicans demand FBI release Trump search affidavit. Artist behind iconic Berlin Wall mural dies at 62. Police probe death threat against J.K. Rowling. India's Warren Buffett dies. British leaders discuss destruction of Crimean bridge, says Ukrainian MP. China boosts coal production. Imagine that. That would be, what's that? Energy independence. We opening our coal mines back up? Interesting. Kiev mayor claims Zelensky's government threatened his citizenship. Ukraine is bankrupt, says Moscow. So is Washington, D.C., but hey. Moscow unveils look of its new space station. They're building space stations, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to get back and forth. Lawyers confirm development in Griner case. A scale of damage to UK companies by anti-Russia sanctions revealed. Salman Rushdie himself is to blame for the attack, says Iran. This is Iran saying this, and this is what blows my mind. Iran has condemned this from the beginning. From the start, they have condemned this attack. It's crazy. The very first response they made, they condemned the guy. U.S. enemy, there's a lot of people that, he was Iranian, Iran condemns it officially. They did from the beginning. U.S. enemies could harvest abandoned Afghan personnel, says Reuters. Zelensky fires security chiefs amid crackdown. Zaporozhye, see, I remembered how to say it. Zaporozhye official explains why inspectors can't reach nuclear plant. I have to gloat about that because I'm kind of surprised I did remember. Ukraine's best fighter pilot killed, and no, that's not the ghost of Kiev, because that turned out to be a fraud. Beijing slams U.S. congressional visit to Taiwan. Apple orders Russian YouTube to remove content, says the platform. Bloomberg warns of EU recession. World War I shipwreck let me try that again. World War I shipwreck found, not bought, after 105 years. And now it will be bought. Dozens of foreign mercenaries killed in Ukraine, says Russia. A date for verdict in MH17 crash trial revealed. EU bank blocks ruble payments to Russia's Kaliningrad. Britain gets sharpened tool in COVID fight. Oh yeah, they're just going to let people bleed out. Cost of Germany's new gas tax revealed, says media. Well, I mean, that would be a way to cure COVID, right? They, just bled you out. You wouldn't have COVID no more. Drone attack hits U.S. base. Really? I caught a lot of hell for that, I'll have you know. Let's see. Ukraine to boost military spending. Let's see. Covered that. EU is blatantly lying about threat to Zaporozhye nuclear plant, says Moscow. Berlin turning... Oh, I covered that. And that. Quadruple vaxxed Pfizer CEO gets COVID-19. Billionaire sues Russian banker after thief claim. Well, yeah, it would be recorded as COVID. I mean, you could be decapitated and it's COVID. It's, that damn strain where your head just comes off. France ends military mission in former colony. Cost of keeping Britons out of energy poverty is revealed. Poland reveals number of crossings from Ukraine. Flooding causes traffic chaos in Istanbul. FBI says it's been threatened since Trump raid. U.S. refuses to unfreeze Afghan funds, says media. Oh, this is the other military, the Russian military headline. Robot dog wields grenade launcher at Russian Army Expo. Like, no, stay, puppy, stay. China lectures U.S. over Afghanistan withdrawal. Pentagon boss gets COVID again. Ukraine failed to mount counteroffensive, says ex-Pentagon advisor. South Korea offers North deal to denuclearize. Trump says FBI seized his passports. Some Capri Sun drinks are recalled may contain cleaning solution, the company says. Oh, well, that's nice. We cover that. EU country's central bank hires fortune teller, says reports. Okay. Russia and UN discuss crisis at nuclear plant. German chancellor opposes fellow EU leaders on visa issue. Mass protests against Euro pride in Serbia. Iran must lower expectations to revive nuclear deals, says the U.S. Cover that one. Assange's lawyers, journalists sue CIA. And Germany's business... I can't speak. Germany's business model is broken, says minister. There we go. Got it. I'd say that's perfect timing. Perfect. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here because I am out of coffee now. I got to go get me some tea. And, it's so rough. Anyway, hang in there. Just keep doing it. Keep at it, That's all any of us can do. Just keep at it and try to think of, better ways of doing things. And, that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out a better way to be able to store stuff so that I have actually easier access to some things. Because some things I just want to be able to grab. I don't want to have to mess around with 5,000 things to get to it. I just want to grab it. Like the boxes, the power boxes, for example. Those I want to be able to just grab. My tools, I just want to be able to grab them, you know? So, stuff like that, I want to get out of the closet, and that will allow me to have more food storage in the closet, among other stuff, and I think it'll work out really well. So, anyway, I am going to hop off of here, and I will, God willing, talk to you all tomorrow night. Hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit, and shalom.